Welcome to this special edition of the CJ Werleman Show. I'm CJ Werleman. Thank you for joining us. But first, a quick reminder to click on the subscribe button below so you never miss a single episode. Now let's get into it. Jordan Peterson, a pseudo-intellectual who's widely popular among sexually insecure, non-college educated, white middle-class men, has published a message to Muslims, to the 5 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. Well, here's my message to non-Muslims about Jordan Peterson's message to Muslims. In a single 6-minute, 51-second recording, Peterson manages to squeeze in every stupid white man's trope ever told about Islam, Muslims, and the Middle East. His message essentially boils down to this. Hey Muslims, stop fighting with each other, leave the Jews and Christians alone, your true enemy is within, so make new pen pals with your imagined and perceived enemies of Islam.
Muslims, reach across the sectarian divide. Shiites, find a Sunni pen pal. Communicate with someone on the other side. Sunnis, do the same. And then, maybe, reach out, tentatively, to a Christian, or even, heaven forbid, a Jew. Because perhaps it is time for those who purport to be followers of God to act like it.
You see, Peterson wants you to believe that Muslims are backwards and barbaric, while white dudes just like him are educated, enlightened, and civilized. It's the great lie told by all colonial powers to justify the pacification and subjugation of those who stand in the way of our capitalist exploits and imperial projects. He wants you to believe European colonial powers never destroyed civic, social, and political life in the Muslim majority countries they once occupied. He also wants you to pretend that violence in Muslim majority countries is the product of ancient rivalries and not the legacy of colonial divide and rule strategies. So when he calls on Muslims to reach across the sectarian divide, it suggests he's never read a single book on the history of the Middle East, like ever. You gotta wonder then, how does he get to prance around the world as an intellectual without ever knowing the works of the great post-colonial writers such as Edward Said, Frantz Fanon, and Albert Memmi? But if somehow he accidentally trips on the sidewalk and falls face first into a fucking library, he will learn that sectarianism in the Muslim world was harnessed and fueled by European colonial powers who sought to plunder Muslim lands by dividing and conquering indigenous Muslim populations. Divide and rule is how France conquered Syria in elevating the Shia Alawite minority to rule over the Sunni majority. And Britain did this in Iraq by privileging the Sunni minority to rule over the country's Shia majority. It's how we ended up with dictators Saddam Hussein and Bashar al-Assad. This is basic first-year undergraduate post-colonial stuff, but Peterson doesn't get it, even though he holds a PhD. So tell me, Jordan, how does a Sunni in Iran or a Shiite in Saudi Arabia reach across to their sectarian counterparts when doing so will get them arrested for plotting a seditious conspiracy against their respective sectarian regimes? I mean, it's a little difficult for Sunnis to make friends with Shiites in Syria, given the Assad regime has spent the past decade ethnically cleansing Sunni Muslims and replacing them with Shia migrants from Iran and Lebanon to help keep the dictator in power. And tell me, Jordan, how do Muslims in Gaza reach out to the Jews in Israel when 2 million Palestinians are permanently caged in the world's largest open-air concentration camp by the apartheid Israeli regime, which so happens to be supported by the government of your country, Canada? But Peterson knows all this. He might not be the brightest bulb in the tanning bed, but he's not a total imbecile, so it's pretty obvious he's carrying the water for covert political aims. For whom? Well, let's start with the fact that somehow Peterson has attracted a significant Muslim audience, and he says so here.
I have been informed by many sources and also observed online, not least because of my discussions with a variety of Muslim thinkers, supporters, and critics, that I have developed an audience in the Muslim world.
But here comes the tell. He pivots to praising the Abraham Accords, or what former President Trump called his deal of the century.
Extraordinary Abraham Accords, which have laid out the possibility for peace between all the people of the book in an unprecedented manner.
This suggests the Israel lobby has got to him, the same way it often gets to those with significant Muslim audiences, like it did when it co-opted Sheikh Yusuf Hamza and when it infiltrated the Council on American Islamic Relations to spy on American Muslims. This is what Israel does. and now we have Peterson parroting pro-Israel talking points on the Abraham Accords, which he praises for advancing peace. But this is total nonsense. Life has spiraled downwards for Palestinians since Arab governments betrayed them in signing the Abraham Accords 2 years ago. Israeli forces have since carried out violent and deadly raids on Palestinian worshippers at Al-Aqsa Mosque, bombed Gaza relentlessly, killing 260 people, including 67 children, in a single 11-day period last year. Entire Palestinian families are being violently expelled from their homes in occupied Jerusalem and the West Bank, while settler terrorist attacks increase in both frequency and ferocity. How can any Muslim in good conscience make a pen pal with Jews that are stealing their land and homes and bombing them in steel cages? But Peterson knows he's being ridiculous. He's only repeating rehearsed lines given to him by the Israel lobby. And if somehow my radar is off and he's not advancing the interests of Israel for personal gain, well, then he's even dumber than we thought. Because what we would have here is a rich white dude living securely in a safe and prosperous nation, urging Uyghur Muslims to make pen pals with the same Chinese people that are exterminating them in Xinjiang. He would also be encouraging Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar to make friends with the same Buddhist militias that murdered and raped more than 50,000 of their friends and family members. Yeah, and good luck getting Muslims in India and Kashmir to write sweet letters to the same Hindu nationalist forces that have pushed them to the brink of genocide. If he's not a paid agent of Israel, then he's just a total moron, which would explain why he dresses up his lies and ignorance with pseudo-intellectual gobbledygook to make you believe he actually knows what he's talking about.
Point out that it is not the individual carriers of the woke, politically correct, degenerate, neo-Marxist ideas that should be regarded as the enemy either.
You see, Peterson's special gift is impersonating what a stupid person thinks a smart person sounds like. But ultimately he knows nothing about Islam, Muslims, and the Middle East. And he made this perfectly clear in his message to Muslims. I hope non-Muslims are listening. Anyway, that's a wrap for today. But while you're here, please support this endeavor and my journalism by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWellerman. We can't produce, sustain, and grow this endeavor without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, or good day, wherever you are, and stay blessed.